Ain't nothing worse than a smart dumb.
Hey yo! Hey yo! Hey yo! Hey yo!
Everybody has a role. I mean, poetry is a good example. I've been writing and on a stage for over 10 years, but probably really hit this current wave and this hot streak I've been on for like 2 or 3 years now. But in that process, I've pretty much done it all as far as your open mic. I've opened. I've been the last person on the list, whether planned or emergency. I've set up the feature. I've been the first act right after the feature, which is not easy. And recently, both 2023 and then so far this year, I've had the opportunity to be the feature. And while most people understand the significance of being that feature, of taking 15 to 20 minutes worth of material and entertaining that crowd, being that headliner, being hopefully one of the major reasons that the particular show did the numbers it did that day, people don't really understand that there's so much importance on every one of those other roles. The person who opens is setting the tone, and they don't even have a luxury for real of, well, somebody else has already done it. I mean, other than, which is why I salute hosts, because most hosts will do the true first poem. They'll be that sacrificial lamb to get us going, but still, that first open micer, that's a huge task to fill for sure. That last open micer, by that time, if it's not the feature, usually you're fighting for a lot of attention if you're following the feature. So to still be able to focus, you've been waiting all day, had some drinks, had some food, not had no drinks or no food. So to get your focus right still, to deliver that piece, to close us out, to send everybody home, just to grab their attention real quick one more time before we call it a night, there's a lot there. The artist right before the feature, usually that's a good setup person. It's like, maybe unless it's a break after, and there's this break before the feature goes up. If you're the artist right before that, like, it's important. It's real nice if you do your thing and keep people on the high and feed that energy into this feature set. The person right after that is pretty similar to the whole person going after. Again, you're fighting to get the crowd's attention back. You're not necessarily competing with the feature. I would hope most people aren't comparing you to the feature, but you're up on a high and, doing your best to keep it on a high, even if that's as simple as your best is, that's good, again, and important as far as, the overall pieces of the show. And then everywhere in between, like every single artist, we don't like it to have been a slow moment, a poor moment, anything like that, where any artist has to pick up the slack of somebody else. And so when I reflect on having the opportunity to feature at Pure Poetry very recently, I can definitely say that's what we got. And I told my friends in particular that told me they was going to be there and that I know are poets, I'm like, go crazy, like, go do your thing, turn me up, you know what I mean? Like, get that crowd going, get them on your side, get them, get their attention, and then keep that, letting people know, like, hey, that's what you should expect all day. It's not even, I don't even consider it pressure just cause I know my capabilities, but like them going crazy is a good thing for me because now the crowd is ready. They open, they're here for good poetry, and hopefully what I'm about to give them, is what they expected. So it's really beautiful to see it like everybody has a role and everybody played their role. I even had one of my poet friends that was being, I'm gonna call it over humble, but I appreciate and respect it. But she didn't bring her books to sell because she's like, well, it's not my feature, it's somebody else's feature. And I respect that, but I'm also that's not how I move. Like, I'm here for the culture first and foremost, truly. And so if that's the location or if that's the situation where somebody hears her book and wants to purchase it, that's fantastic. I'm fully with that. But that some people might have felt offended in that same scenario. So there's nothing wrong with trying to be modest and defer. Just don't ever be over modest, in any situation, and when possible. But communication is key, and I say that something I feel like I'm decent with, but that's not everybody's forte. So when we talk about everybody having a role, I mean, even collaboration. I mean, yes, it's cool and all to be that one picture on the flyer, that one face on the flyer, and the feature responsibility or opportunity is yours. But I've also had times where I've shared the stage or been, among a group of features, and there's good reasons for that, or there's benefits to that in certain situations. There's a big difference between 15 to 20 minute set and a 5 to 7 minute set or 10 minutes max set. Basically 3 to 4 poems versus 1 or 2 poems. Everything shouldn't, every single night of an event shouldn't necessarily have to fall all on your shoulders. And if the volume of activity is right, your overall bottom line, as far as the compensation side, is still being met. If you're doing good business, have established good business and made proper relationships, some of these, I was just among the group of features, have paid better than a solo feature. So that's what it really comes in. It's not all about necessarily the spotlight so much as this, where is this light? Who is shining? And based on that opportunity, who you are around, what that budget is looking like, again, this is now, you don't necessarily have to sacrifice money to be out there and have your voice heard. But what can happen is the people that came to be a fan of somebody else is now hearing you for the first time, and now you can gain more followers, gain more fans. So, collaboration, integration. I mean, that's why, as this season is about to commence, there's going to be, as many poets that are in the mood to book with me, as far as guests and other entrepreneurs, business owners. Like, that focus hasn't changed. So I'm looking forward to more of those type of interviews and conversations going forward. The occasional solo situation as far as sharing some information just on my own when necessary. But hey, if the more interviews I get, the more I'm with it. So if you're listening, you interested, if you're listening, you know somebody that you would love to, for us to have a conversation, by all means, send them my way, send me their way. Now, unfortunately, everybody has a role, but everybody doesn't know their role, or they're not good at that role. So there's ignorance and there's, incompetence, which isn't, I don't mean it disrespectfully, but just that inability. Everybody doesn't have, nobody's perfect. Like, I can start with me, right? But one of the problems that we have that I've noticed is there are a lot of people that, again, they love the spotlight, they love the credit, they love the authoritative, stance. They're a leader at work. They're first chair in the choir. They're the guy, that girl. In one instance, and they feel like they need to be a superstar at all points. And the worst part out of all of it is that they're not. So never mind, never mind the lack of humility and not understanding that it's okay to let the next person shine bright in that occasion and you still, have importance. But it's often people who don't even have the talent, skill set. They just have the audacity and feel entitled to it. So, I've had conflicts in the past. Like, I have poem on it, probably more than one. One of my biggest pet peeves is unsolicited advice. I'm an individual who learns, like I'm only have the intelligence and experiences that I have because of other people, because of opportunities given to me by other people, but because I'm listening or studying or, being an unofficial mentee of other people who do it different, do it better, been doing it longer, et cetera, et cetera. So the people who don't really have anything for me, but insist that I need to hear what they said that I never asked for, they tend to then get in their feelings further, and now I don't listen. And I think I know everything. And it's more so that I'm getting fed from who not only I want to be fed by and who should be feeding me. And it's an ego thing from those people who get insulted that it's not them. And then when they finally do excuse themselves, ended up being the best thing in the world. And life has never suffered from anybody who stepped back, mainly because I'm fortunate to have others who continue to be supportive and be in the circle and give the advice I was looking for. I mean, it's really ironic. I'm sitting up here having, a conversation with a legend who is, telling me that he really hesitated to give me some advice just because people in the past have taken offense to, being encouraged to do better. Whole time it was nothing but my honor to receive this information that I promptly then, heated over these last couple months, and then was observed like, okay, I see you. I see you working. Now, granted, for all we know, it was just bad timing on my side. One day, somebody with something that, who had good intentions, who had something for me, I just wasn't in a space to receive. And hopefully maybe I deterred them from wanting to reach to me and try to fill my cup, but hopefully they still wanted to go find those who were willing to listen to them, interested, what they had to say, and they still can pour in because, again, nobody is everybody could use somebody's help. I say I don't need anybody individually. So, and that's especially for those people that start getting arrogant and forget, their place and who they are. But I need somebody. Like I'm not booking these features without willing curators that say, I seen your work, I'm a fan, or I know you can do your thing here. Let me let you do that. I don't get here. I don't get to host an open mic last year, despite it being brief. I don't get to do any shows without, shout out to Black women consistently bigging me up, having a conversation with a person who knows the person who is the owner, and making new contacts and getting the opportunity to make some business moves. So it's never that nobody can tell me nothing, but it seems too often it's the wrong people who volunteer themselves to tell me something that I must have. But yet, again, once they finally move out the way, life ain't done nothing but continue to get better. Partially because of me, of course, but more of the choices and people I choose to be around. And I do not forget that, and I very much appreciate it. I think one of the things that people forget is, even if we're in the realm of leadership doesn't always mean bossing and pointing fingers and directing. Delegating is a really important piece. Listening to others is really important. So the person that just feels like all I'm supposed to do is keep telling y'all what to do, all you have to do, you don't even have to dig deep into their own personal things. You see turmoil over there. So it's like, if you want to fix something, find that mirror, go help that person, right? And typically what I've learned is the ones that are trying so hard to make sure everybody has done what they said or has heard what they feel like, here's what I feel about your situation. They're deflecting and they're running and they're hiding from personal issues that they either can't or don't want to put in the work to solve themselves. All right. And I fully understand and appreciate that the I cannot remember the quote, but true information exchange really does also benefit that person giving that advice, giving that information. Like, it benefits them as well. And again, in a healthy exchange, that's perfectly fine. But in an unhealthy exchange, again, this person is deflecting. Now they're forcing themselves on a situation they're not needed. They get their feelings hurt when it's not received well. The person who had it forced upon them is not appreciating it all the time because they were just fine without this person. And that's why it ends up being um, a bad situation across the board. But typically, the only person that gets blamed for it was the recipient for not managing this mess of whatever they already had going on and then taking on somebody else's uncommunicated need for validation and attention, right? So it's unfortunate, but it happens all the time, and it's something I personally have had to navigate. So in a short, in a one-off scenario, it's easy to have grace for that individual. Just have that conversation. Hey, this is why, whatever the reason why. It's like, I'm not searching, fishing for answers. I've already looked and considered things. I already have a professional looking at it. It's not as simple as your one, sentence answer, and you can have that conversation with reasonable people, and it's like, okay, let me back. It's not an extreme. It's not, don't ever talk to me again. It's just, all right, maybe I overstepped, or maybe you just didn't feel like receiving this. Okay, my bad. Let me back off. But then there are the people who, again, they need to be needed, and it's an attack on them personally when you aren't here for that, and because you didn't have them here for that. Like, that's not their role, their purpose, and you don't need them for that. But those are usually unhealthy relationships anyway. So all this situation like this does is expose it. And usually there's some resentment there, and it leads to distancing. And then you end up finding out, well, this distancing not only has been beneficial, probably was overdue. And that goes into the host people, seasons and things like that. And it also even goes into just people who are frauds and flying under your radar, because of your overly giving them credit, or just being in a headspace, or whatever the case may be, right? But there's power in being humble. There's power in stepping back to listen with two ears instead of always using your mouth. There's power in learning from others. There's power in applying, your mistakes and evaluating them towards the future, and then learning from mistakes others have been gracious to share with you in order to have a different and better experience. So, yeah, in short, once again, everybody has a role. And when it's important enough, whether it's that forward-facing person to behind the scenes to set up having that wonderful poetry night go so flawlessly, from the DJ to the folks handling the food to just that the people floating, in between and handling whatever may come up. Like, these people are all very, very vital. And so I salute those who are doing at a high level any of those roles, and then even further, the ones that have the flexibility, because being really good or competent at the entertainer to the planner to the scheduler and etc., like, those are impressive in their own right. The person who is able to step in and be competent at more than one of those things is a very special person. And I hope every team that has those types is valuing that person, and letting them know that their work is not in vain. I know curators are very quick to credit other events because they know that they probably don't know everything that was going on behind the scenes for that surface and final product to appear the way that it appeared. So I salute top to bottom everybody playing their role, doing their thing. Once again, I'm excited to get into this newest season of the Smart Dumb podcast. Sometimes there might be solo episodes. more often than not, we're going to get these guests going. And I'm really excited, definitely looking forward to it. So I appreciate y'all who have tuned in, who are intending to tune in going forward. But let's see what we got. All right, y'all. Peace.